Hey, welcome back to another episode. It's a great Monday to talk about drug prevention. You're listening to the Drug Prevention Power Hour, and I'm your host, Jake White. And today I'm hanging out with Anthony Eaton. And Anthony has started something called the Recovery Cafe, and we got connected. I was really interested in what he's doing, and I think just creativity and innovation in our space should be celebrated. So enjoy this call that I have with Anthony, getting to know him and learning all about what he's up to. Hey, Anthony, how's it
What's
going?
going on? I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. It's a good day to be in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, right. It's warm now. We're hitting those 100 degrees now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. What area of the valley are you in?
So we're in Chandler, so right on the school in Elliott on the southwest corner.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
cool.
How
Awesome.
about you?
I'm over at Grand Canyon University.
Oh, nice. So I was at one of your main benefactors, Jerry Colangelo, was the keynote speaker for the Grace, Amazing Grace thing this past Saturday at the Biltmore, and it was an incredible event, man.
Wow. Okay. So actually one of my coaches, his name's John Hunter. He was a part of that as well. I heard it was a great turnout, like 800 people there.
Yeah,
to
it was incredible.
do, and it's all about like helping out the recovery community, right? And raising funds.
100%. So I don't know if you know a bit about the story. So Jimmy Walker, who is a very big philanthropist here in the Valley, probably one of the biggest life insurance writers in the nation. And he's been incredibly successful at that, but he's taken that success and moved it into just a bunch of incredible causes. And this cause that Night was set up for was for Grace Sober Living, which is a Christian-based sober living nonprofit company that has 7 different homes, and it was all established in the name of his son, who struggled, like many of us do, with addiction and alcoholism. And 3 days before his son passed away from a fentanyl overdose, he had jotted down on his piece of paper his notes and his thoughts on creating a sober living company that wasn't for profit, that wasn't focused on money, and strictly there to help people in recovery. And unfortunately, he went back out a few days later, took a bad pill of fentanyl, and we lost him. And so his family gathered together, and his 2 sisters, his mom and his dad, and they started Great Sober Living under his name. And it's now grown to 7 homes, and they're having just an incredible impact on folks that are struggling with addiction and alcoholism here in the Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, had a big concert, great deal, had a big panel discussion with some speakers from across the state who work in the world of recovery. One guy from Tucson who has helped over 9,000 people recover. It was pretty incredible.
Wow. That is incredible. I didn't
Yeah.
know that story either. So thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
Uh,
No.
yeah. And I would love to, by the way, I didn't tell you this, but
Yeah.
so we're recording. I know you said like, you're cool with being on the podcast. So as far as I'm concerned, we're in it. Like we're talking.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So I would love to hear more about you, man. Like what is the stuff you're working on, and kind of what's your short story and why you got into this work with the Recovery Cafe?
Well, first, what I'd like to do is kind of start off with like a Cliff Notes version of the history of the Recovery Cafe. So the first Recovery Cafe was established up in Seattle back in 2004, and during their huge heroin and homelessness epidemic. And they recognized a gap in the world of recovery. If you being in this world, I'm sure you're well aware of this, that most insurance companies are got paid for maybe 30, 60, 90 days of treatment. Then we get pushed out the next. If you look at the national averages out there with regards to the relapse rates within 2 years post-treatment, they're hard. Even more so for folks that have no access to any kind of treatment whatsoever. So the first Recovery Cafe was established to stand in that gap, provide folks the same kind of accountability and community they would receive in a treatment setting free of charge for as long as they need. So we are a 501c3. All of our services and amenities are provided 100% free to our community. That being said, there are three main areas that we provide support for recovery. So as a member here, you receive one-on-one weekly recovery coaching sessions with a CCAR certified recovery coach. So we're all trained in active listening, motivational interviewing, etc. We've got 9 of them here at the cafe. Then on top of that, we do what's called our group recovery service. These are very much like a process. So we talk about what we're celebrating for the week, what's struggling with for the week, that we pick a discussion topic. So it is an open discussion format as opposed to like a no cross talking about. Now, I myself, I'm a 12-stepper, so I'm in recovery. My AA home group is 2 miles down the road, but the types of meetings we run here are a lot different than that, much more similar to like a process group. The third option that we provide is called our School for Recovery. This covers a broad range of topics. So I myself, I teach a meditation class every Saturday morning at 10. I've got my buddy Greg, who is actually just in here. He's a PhD neuroscientist. He teaches a class called Addiction in the Brain. So the science behind what's going on up here from the addictions. Then we do things like yoga, Tai Chi, somatic practices, sound healing. I've got my friend Christina Lombardo. She's a nutritionist. We have different health and wellness classes. That we do things like art, drawing, basic budgeting. I'm working with a company out here in the East Valley called Flood Bid Recovery. They're a solo living company as well. And their operations manager, Eric Ara, has developed a class that helps folks kind of reintegrate back into the world as they're getting into recovery. Some of the basics, a lot of us, as we're actively in our addiction or our alcoholism, let a lot of things go to the wayside. So, folks, sometimes they need to go get a new driver's license or state ID, or they need help applying for a DBT card, or getting a copy of their work, social security card. So what they're doing is they come in, they got laptops in the and do a class, and they actually help the folks through that process to get those things rolling through whatever avenues they can online. On top of that, we're an actual coffee shop. So when our members come in, they can grab a latte, they can get an Italian soda, cappuccino, iced coffee, all of which is free. Then we also have a full service commercial kitchen. So we provide meals as well. So you take the community that we provide from a coffee shop or meals, along with the support from the coaching, the School for Recovery, and the recovery circles. And that's really been the secret sauce to why this has had so much success. And now you have 65 locations of the Recovery Cafe across the United States. And we've got over 20,000 active members now working together to help each other maintain our long-term recovery. And when I say recovery, it's really everything under the umbrella of recovery. So we've got folks recovering from alcoholism, addiction, PTSD, childhood trauma, gambling, eating disorders, mental health issues, you name it. We honor all pathways. So, on the addiction and alcoholism side, we've got people with here that are ACE, NA, CA, CMA, Celebrate Recovery, Well Variety, Smart Recovery. And we've got a good amount of folks as well that never really identified with any of the 12-step-based programs, and they use the cafe as their and that is the cafe in a nutshell. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, my journey, how I got here. So,
Anthony, before we jump in, real quick, because this sounds awesome.
yeah,
It's so cool. And like you said, it's a real need that isn't necessarily like evident in the spectrum of recovery and what we assume people, hey, your basic need for recovery is this. We need to get you in treatment. But there's that space that was left out that Recovery Cafe is filling. And I'm thinking as one of our listeners, they're working in recovery or in prevention in different areas across the country. How can they find out if there's a Recovery Cafe like in their area? Do y'all have a website or something?
Yeah, the Recovery Cafe Network. Google that, and right on the front page, there's a map of the U.S. and has pins everywhere that there are cafes.
Awesome. And I'm assuming with so many locations that if there's not a location that you partner with people to help create a new spot.
That's exactly what the Cafe Network does. They've created this cookie cutter essentially, and now they're taking that and utilizing it and creating new cafes all across.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's awesome. So yeah, Anthony, how did you get into this?
yeah. One thing I didn't mention as well is how to become a member. So membership here is three easy commitments. First, you got to walk through our door sober. Second is you've got to commit to coming to your weekly recovery circle each week. And then the third is to give back. We say give back, it's being of service to the cafe. So nothing from a financial side. I've got members who volunteers as baristas in the coffee shop, and we put them through a whole barista training so they can take that up and throw that on their resume, go get hired at Starbucks across the street. Then we have members that volunteer at the front desk. Leaders, I've got a crew that sticks around on Saturdays after our member days and cleans up the whole cafe. And as long as they maintain those three commitments, they can take part of the cafe whenever they'd like. So we're open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 4. One of the things that we see a lot of in our community is folks that are in recovery. They're part of some kind of 12-step based program. So you've got a lot of sponsors and sponsees. Instead of going to Starbucks and dropping $20 on coffees, they can come here and get a coffee for free in an environment that's safe and all sober individuals working together to help each other maintain their long-term recovery, which is what I do. I'm an active sponsor. I've got 4 sponsees right now. We do all our step work, and it's nice because so many of us in recovery, we don't go to bars, we don't go to nightclubs. Some of us can't even go to restaurants. It's too much of a trigger. This place provides that spot for us to come to, break bread, grab a coffee, be social, and get together, which is unlike anything I'd ever experienced in my journey. So my journey started back in 2011. That was the first time that I finally was able to admit to myself that I had a problem, and I went, I did an ambulance win. So I went to some AA meetings, saw a counselor for a little while. I was told by both my friends and my counselor, I'll look at getting into treatment. I was like, yeah, no. And about a year in, and I was like, I'm cured. Well, I lasted about 2.5 years, and I wasn't. I had no foundation, I had no fellowship, and I ended up relapsing. Went back out and did some research for about 8 months, and then decided to come back into the world of recovery. So I did a little bit of treatment. I went to like a long treatment program, and then so that was good, and bounced out and came back into the rooms of recovery. This time around, I lasted almost 7 years, but I went down that same cycle. So I would get to a point where I felt comfortable. I was in a good mental headspace, and I don't need this treatment stuff anymore. I don't need to be a part of the recovery fellowship, just letting that ego just start running the show. 7 years pass and COVID hits. I just buckled in the isolation. And this time out, I was out for about 10 months. I accomplished, actually ended up in the hospital at the end of that 10 months, half of my debt. And I decided, well, then and there, okay, I'm going to give this thing another shot. So I went back into treatment. So you'll notice I'm going through this same cycle that we see so many people go through the world of recovery, where they're sober, go into treatment, then relapse, sober, go into treatment, relapse, just recycle. That's what I was doing. I last a year and a half this time. So I'll be go drink again. I drank for 2 days. And something was different. Just didn't make me feel that. Actually, just made me feel worse. Woke up that third morning, hungover, riddled with anxiety, just utterly hopeless. I finally hit that point of surrender, where I was willing to give up my ego and my control, take the suggestions that had been made of me over the course of the last decade, go do things right. I connected and developed a constant contact with my higher power, which I choose to call God. And I went back through the 12 steps. I went through an actual, like, full treatment program. So I did PhD, I did IOP5, IOP3, IOP1, OP. And shortly after stepping out of treatment, a little over a year ago, I was walking to a job interview and I happened to stumble once. I saw the sign on the wall. I'm like, oh, recovery. What's this place? So I poked my head at the door. Don and Dennis are here, and they're the founders of this cafe. They also established a cafe up in Washington, the sixth cafe in town. And they proceed to give me a tour, walk me through that same story that I just told you, in regards to the history of the cafe. And the first thing I said, when they were all done, I was like, oh, well, it can't be free, so what's the catch? And they're like, there's no catch. There's no catch. And I said, okay, all right. So I dove head first in. I met with my coach every single week. I went to my circle every week. I went to every class that I could go to. I started giving back by teaching a meditation class in the School for Recovery. It was that missing link. I mean, when I talk about it, I get the chills. It was really and truly what I was missing about childhood recovery. And it pairs beautifully well with what I do from a 12-step perspective, from the spirituality side, from my meditations. And it will be a part of my life for forever. I was fortunate enough, at 8 months in, the board brought me in and sat me down and went through my professional history. And they asked me to become the operations manager last year. And here, just a few weeks ago, I just accepted the executive director role, which I'd start on May 1st. And I get to be of service every day in what I do, and I get to be a part of the fellowship and help create a community of folks here that, my experience and so I've done a lot of research this time instead on the drinking and using side on the recoveries. I spoke to all these folks that had 10, 20, 30, and 40. I know folks that have 50 years of sobriety. One of the main components of that, they became part of a fellowship, part of a community of recovery. That was another thing else that this cafe provided. And it's been an incredible ride, Jake. It's been amazing. And we are looking forward to the future here. And I reached out to you and wanted to chat with you about it as well to help us spread the word about this cafe so we can get it out to people that get benefit.
Yes. Well, first of all, congratulations too. I mean, you got a job at this place, frequenting there, and now are becoming the executive director. And that's something too that I think there's a lot of nuances when you have this place that's incredible, like a recovery cafe, and people go there for sanctuary, for community, for fellowship, for healing. And you look at it and you're probably like, I cannot believe I get to do this as a job. Like this, building this and creating this is so fulfilling. On the other hand, it has to sustain some way. So being someone who also is, the quote CEO of a movement and an organization, I'm always curious about funding. Like how do you provide this at no cost for people? I know, maybe only donations. How is this sustained at all your locations?
That's a great question. So we do funding through all different avenues. We just filed for a federal grant here a couple of weeks ago. About a month ago, we dropped a grant with Steve Chandler. Here at the end of last year, we did a huge fundraising event. Actually, Alice did a video for us at that. And we just got approved for the tax credits. So we're going to be rolling out a campaign on that. Do a lot of community outreach. And then on top of that, we utilize our kitchen as a funding source as well. So we're a licensed commercial kitchen. We lease that out as a ghost kitchen and a commissary kitchen to local food truck owners to also generate revenue. Nothing. So we're going after all kinds of different things.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. Um, do just because of proximity and what you're doing, do you know the team over at Full Circle?
Yeah, AJ Durrell, he's been here multiple times. They do what they do is very similar to what we do here, minus the cafe and the meals.
Right, and they're
Yeah.
they're more centered on teenagers as well. I know. So yeah, instantly I'm like, you probably have met each other, but if not, you guys definitely needed to.
Yeah.
Um, so that's great. And then um, I'll talk to you after the show. There's someone else I want you to meet as well, who is just doing great great things in the food truck and traveling and helping people in, who are incarcerated and just going out and helping people. And I think you guys would hit it off as well. But for I just want to say this because the organization that you have, you mentioned a lot of different fundraising strategies. And I want to pull some out because our listeners, a key thing is sustainability. So oftentimes they start out with a grant, and it's like minimal. It pays for a couple staff members and then maybe a few things of programming and some research. But the thing is the grant will end, right? Like a grant will end at some point. And so having those other things that you'll have is really, really creative, like utilizing the kitchen, like going after the Arizona tax credit and then having these large scale events. So I do want to pull this out from you because I bet you might have some cool insights of the different areas where you look at maybe the pie of fundraising. What are the biggest, most successful areas of fundraising? And then I'd love to ask you for a tip of, how can other people be successful in doing that so that they can keep doing the great work they're doing like you guys are?
Well, I would say from a fundraising standpoint, that the most successful would definitely be gala events. So creating an event centered around, what you're doing is celebrating and bringing in, folks like Alice Cooper, who's been in Republic for 40 years, having him share his story, as well as connecting in with the community itself. So, on top of ticket sales for the event, table sales for the event, then we had a large silent auction where we went out to the community and got all kinds of different things for folks to bid on. That was incredibly successful. And I would say, in those kind of events, got to have a good MC. We had an incredible MC. Her name is Mary Jo West. So she was a news anchor here in the Valley for about 50 years. She just did an amazing job on the event for us. And then it's about having, speakers. So I personally, I went up and I shared some of my experience. We had Bob McMahon, who was part of the Wallace and Latino show. I don't know if you're familiar with that here in the Valley. Years ago, it's a children's show. And so he brought in, he was actually one interview with Alice Cooper for our video, and getting those kind of things out there. So when you're promoting the event, you're able to generate as much foot traffic and bring in folks that are willing to start with checkbook.
That's so cool. I love a couple things about what you said, and it's number one is just the whole story of innovation and finding a need and filling it. As someone who started throwing, drug-free events and parties for college students and younger students, it was like the question was, hey, if I'm not going to use drugs and drink, how am I going to be social? And so answering that question was really powerful, like a powerful motivator. And so to see how the Recovery Cafe has identified this niche that's not been filled yet and is going all in to fill it, but two, having different events that, like what you just said, bringing in the community and going out into the community. So you're showing up at different stores and shops and at different people in the community to invite them to be a part of it. And I think that's the hard work of building a movement that not everybody wants to do. But not only is it's hard work, but it's also really, really fun work and really fulfilling work, because if you have that personality of someone like yourself, who's an executive director or anybody who has that outgoing personality, like that is the thing that I probably miss the most from fundraising and doing all that stuff is just inherently all the incredible people that you get to meet and hear their stories, find out why they're actually passionate about what you're doing, and then giving them a chance to be a part of it. So if someone's listening and you're scared of fundraising, I'm just going to say this. You never know who on the other side of a store table or a phone call or a coffee table is aching to be of service to your organization. Like if given the chance and if knowing what you're doing, they would love to help because they've got this thing inside where they know they want to impact the world, but they don't have your platform. They don't have your skills. They don't have your grant, and they're looking to partner up with somebody. So I hope somebody listening needed to hear that, and you can make that phone call today, or you can show up to that person today, or just be fearless on who you ask and who you tell your story to.
Well, I would add to that, you got to be okay with rejection, and it's a numbers game. It's just got to keep making calls. You've got to utilize social media efforts, rituals. Got to get out. You'll find those diamonds in the rough that end up turning into just incredible opportunities. It never hurts to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting close to the half hour. So I want to ask you this, Anthony, if people want to get a hold of you and like, they love this, right? They're like, this actually sounds really cool. I want this in my community. What's the best place to go? And then just any other call to action, if there's ways that we can support anything like that, please point us in the right direction.
So I would direct you straight to our website, which is the Recovery Cafe Valley of the Sun, and it's got a full calendar of events. So one thing you had mentioned that you created were social events. That's one thing that we're doing here as well. So a week from this Friday, we're an afternoon here. It's going to be open like slam poetry and music. So we've got folks coming in and just being so partner with Mike Stamps over at the Phoenix. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. So Phoenix is a nationwide nonprofit that does nothing but create social activities for folks in recovery. A lot of it is centered around exercise. So rock climbing, hiking, you name it. But he had a sober concert here at Wasted Grain in Scottsdale about 3-4 months ago with like 300 folks there. Shut down the bar, everything. It's just a bunch of folks in recovery, enjoying some good music, getting out there and being social. And it's about letting folks know that you don't need alcohol and drugs to go have fun. You can do all these same things and have, in my opinion, way more fun. And remember that stuff. It's a totally different situation. But could check out our website, Valley of the Sun, Recovery Cafe Valley of the Sun. There's want to shoot me an email, you can just hit the contact me button on there. I'll be there. We'll pick that email up and get involved. It's fun. I tell you what, for me, it's being able to be a part of the community of recovery and be involved with all the walks of life in recovery. I mean, you can go to it, you can go to you can go to celebrate all. You're getting these great groups, but here you get to intermingle with all of them, and then be also sitting next to a veteran that's our local PTSD. Our Tai Chi teacher who is recovering from gambling. It's a very eclectic group that welcome you all to come check us out.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Anthony, so much for being on the show. Yeah. And for everyone listening, thank you for listening to another episode of the Drug Prevention Power Hour, where we empower leaders in youth drug prevention. And listen, whether you're in primary prevention, secondary, or tertiary, we're all working together for the same mission, running in the same direction. So again, we can do so much better together. Keep asking questions, keep meeting incredible people, and doing the awesome work that you're doing every single day, because you might not see it today or tomorrow, but you're changing lives. And just like Anthony's story shared, it could take a decade until you see the fruit of this, but look at the tree that's sprouting from that fruit. Like, this is incredible. So we'll see you next Monday for another episode.
Thanks, Jake.